Hi, welcome back to this second episode of Lean Agile approach to ISO 9001, the standard for quality management system. And this vlog is where me, Andreas, and Joan, my very good colleague, we are dissecting the parts and the clauses in the ISO 9001 standard for quality management system and connect them to a lean agile approach and how you work in practice with all these requirements. And why are we doing this, these parts? Yoon, please tell us and show us a slide.
So here it's all connected. What this vlog is all about is to connect the ISO requirements with how the organization should respond by taking a lean agile approach. So we are dissecting, as Andreas is saying, the requirements in ISO. We are applying the mindset, direction, and value flow aspects of lean and the best practices way of actually working from the agile way of thinking. And that gives us the small part in the middle between ISO, lean, and agile, which tells you, this is the operational bridge from my requirements in ISO and how I should work to fulfill the requirements.
And what are we going to talk about today in this episode? This episode is connected to our previous episode where we were dissecting a little part, a small part of the design and development planning clause in the standard. And so we will continue to do this because this is a sub-clause in this clause. And today we're going to talk about the required process stages, including applicable design and development reviews. And we will show you today in a brief, very informal way with some chit-chatting around how the agile processes actually applies to this requirement.
Exactly. And let's start with the bridge itself. When you are doing development work like the requirements from the ISO tells us, we are answering that requirements by thinking in two major consequences or two major answers. The first one is to adapt the lean principles. They are 5. It has to do with knowing what customers values. That's in the center of everything we do. Then we have to make sure that we have the development value stream put up in order to make these services and products in an easy way together as teams. Then we need to focus on how do we create flow in the value stream so that we actually are doing things in a steady, cost-efficient way with a customer-centric mindset. And the fourth wheel is the established pull, where we are doing things according to the customer needs in the order that the customer wants us the things delivered, but also internally we work in a pull manner in order to utilize our capacity and not work over or do too little. We need to establish a way to pull tasks into the teams according to the capacity of the teams. And then we seek perfection all the time with what we are working. It's the basis and the fundamental part of continuous improvement.
What Jon just said applies to a lot of requirements in the standard. We're talking about leadership. We're talking about customer centricity in all parts of the organization. And I can name a bunch of requirements that this nice lean approach actually applies to the requirements. Jon, please continue.
Yeah. Thank you, Andreas. One important aspect of developing things, and we are not talking on the clause 8 and how construction and development takes place. The answer from the agile way to this is, instead of taking the traditional approach where we try to specify how things should look like when we are done a year out in time or something like that, we are taking an agile approach, meaning that we are trying to develop the product and service usable from the first step, and then we build functionality into it. And for example, in this particular example, it may be that the customer don't want a car. the customer wants a motorcycle, and that's why the agile way will catch these requirements, because we are doing things in small incremental steps instead of specifying everything beforehand. So having this lean 5 principles combined with the agile way of thinking, that's the best way to do development, and a lot of other things, as Andreas points out, that is part of the ISO 9001 requirement. So these 2 aspects, keep them in mind all the time when you are thinking about development and improvements in general. Then we comes to one of the most important aspects of developing things, and that's customer centricity. We are highlighting this a little bit now, and we want you to discover this in more detail, but this is something that we would like to communicate to you, that from a design thinking and customer centricity way, you should start by understanding the customer needs. You need to discover the important aspects. You need to define what to do. And then you have the design customer centric solution part, where you deploy and deliver in small chunks instead of doing everything in the end. To take that customer centricity part, we work with personas. That's fictive people, that's fictive persons. We try to attach different, to understand the user in the best possible way by attaching things to that persona that describes the persona in the best possible way, because then we learn to use to understand the customer. Then we have something called empathy map, and that is, who are they? What are their needs? How do they think? How do they feel? What do they hear? What do they do? And what do they see? All these aspects of people that will use your product or service should be described, so that we learn to understand the empathy of the people that will be the customers of your solution. Then the third thing is to actually make the journey map, and that is to design the customer experience, and that goes with physical products as well as services. Everything can be mapped in what we call journey maps, that takes the steps of what a typical customer would like to see happen when they use your product. And finally, to put the agile clothing around everything, we also make story maps.
And here you can also see a connection to other parts, other requirements in the standard. In this clause for design and development planning, you also have a subclause that specifically outlines the requirement to actually involve the customer, and that's what you gain and get when you have this agile approach, and to communicate with the customer and the end user.
Let me just move 2 slides back and see that in the agile development on the bottom right, we are developing a product from a very minimal version, and we add functionality to it in order to become an enriched product or service. And that's what we are doing here, because every addition of functionality we call a feature, and that feature contains some activities, development activities. We call these stories because they are telling something about how to break down these functionalities into smaller units that are manageable in small units of time. And as you see here, we have a horizontal line, and above that is say essential things. So we break things down in what is really needed, what kind of development tasks we do in a certain feature at a certain time, and then we wait with additional improvements for later. So thinking in this way, what is needed now? What is the customer asking for now? And what can wait? How do we plan for that in a structured way by prioritizing the features and prioritizing the stories within the features in a nice way. And in the next episodes, we are going to talk a little bit about backlogs and prioritization techniques and so on. But for now, this is what we wanted to say to you. Think in minimal viable products, leave the waterfall model behind, and try to develop your functionality close to the customer by using these personas and story maps and things like that. Or what do you say, Andreas?
Yeah, exactly, and it goes so well with the clause, the design and development planning clause, because we're actually talking about planning here from a design and development perspective, and agile way of working is like very suited for the design and development process.
Good. We hope that you enjoy to get this input and get that bridge between the ISO 9001 requirements and the Lean Agile thinking. And if you really want to follow up on that, please use the subscribe button below in order to get the message every time we launch a new vlog. We plan to do many, and we plan to go through the whole standard, and we plan to teach you and discuss a lot of Lean Agile aspects. So we really want you to be part of it. And if you want to have to enroll on our one-day course covering all of it, you have the link here, or you can mail Andreas or me and say that you would like to highlight some aspect when we are making the vlog. If you think that something is very interesting to get, we will be able to make a complete vlog about that if that's what you really want. So we are flexible in the vlog, and please just tell us what you think is the most important, as long as it has something to do with the ISO 9001 and Lean Agile. We are interested to hear about it, okay? So Andreas, with that said, I think we are done with the vlog for today.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
This episode, and looking forward to the next episode. Actually, we will continue to dissect this clause for a couple of more episodes. And as June said, if you want us to dissect or discuss another clause in the standard, or a problem that you are facing right now, email us and we will do an episode about that.
Exactly. So thank you, and we hope to see you on our next vlog.
Thank you. Bye.